Hi everybody, so Brett from Munro Property Group. Just thought I'd do a quick market update for August, so taking the figures that have come out through July, and probably I'll have a link there to the CoreLogic market update in Adelaide that came out last week, so that'll give you an idea of what's happening across the state. So, but Adelaide's probably one of the few states that's had a slight increase in home values across the board. I think it's about 2%. So, and we're actually seeing a lot of buyer activity at the moment. And we're also noticing that when we actually call the buyers, when they send an email inquiry from realestate.com or something, that they're actually engaged a lot more in the conversation about what they want. They want to be on our database. They want to know about properties that are coming on board early, etc. And they're also, qualified buyers that they've either sold or they've got their finance in place. So just sort of go through a couple of figures at the moment in our core area of Norwood, Kensington sort of area. So Kensington Gardens at the moment is tracking at about 8% growth compared to last year. And Kensington Park slightly down a little bit from last time, but that's really the amount of stock that levels that are pretty low. So that's at about 4.8. Leabrooks tracking quite nicely at 12 compared to last year. Tranmere about 4. Campbelltown's dropped a little bit to 5.4. There's been a couple of auctions that have fallen over, some that have done quite well. And Felixstowe's about 12, which is about the same where it was from last month as well. So in that June sort of period. So and McGill's at about 5%, but I think that's really if you go through and looking at McGill, days on market is about 51 days on market average. Number of sales at 10% up. So, so for the quarter, or so far this year, we've had 124 sales in McGill, which is quite high. And vendor discounting a little bit there, but it's only about 2%. So that will probably change over the spring break, and also people obviously thinking about sending their kids to school next year. So, but yeah, overall, let's have a look at Norwood. So let's punch that in. Norwood. So Norwood was quite high last year or last quarter. And the median value, so these are growth median value figures. So these are average sale price and where that's sitting compared to last year. So that's actually had another big spike. So Norwood median value currently, so that's taking into sales in July, that's tracking about 21% growth compared to last year's median value. So that's out of all the sales. So that's units, houses and everything else. So that's quite high. There's been some pretty good sales in Norwood. So a few properties that have been on the market for a little while, they're all gone. So days on market is risen slightly, so that's probably more of a reflection on finance, people waiting on finance, etc. And agents, we tend not to, in this period, we tend to sort of say under contract, not sold straight away until the property's unconditional, and it's taking a little bit longer to get unconditional. So, so yeah, rental yield is pretty low for Norwood, I think, because the prices have spiked and rentals haven't caught up, and probably more towards, the next couple of months and more towards the end of the year, those rental prices will reflect on the actual price of the properties purchased. So that's got a little bit to catch up on. So, but yeah, value of sales is up 27% growth as a net figure compared to this time last year. So that's quite high too, and that's a reflection on that growth rate. So stock on the market in Norwood is at 4% down from last year, and overall 12 months levels at about 20%, which is not too bad actually. State average is about 40%. We're down on stock. So the real worry is that that's leading up to spring. So normally now we would start to be listing properties and then getting them ready for sale. At the moment, we're still, we're doing a lot of appraisals, but we haven't converted them into listings yet. And so yeah, that's a bit of an issue. And that means looks like spring, it will still come down a little bit. So and on stock levels will be down compared to last year, but we'll see what happens. So everybody's sort of asking, everybody that I talk to, they're asking about, should I sell the house? What's the market like? How's the market? All that sort of thing. And I guess it depends on, are you a buyer, are you a seller or an investor at the moment? So rentals are quite good. Some of our open inspections, we've had, 20, 30 groups through. I think at Matthew at Munros, we had 28 groups through a little unit in Anzac Highway. So rentals is crazy. There's just not enough buyers purchasing rental properties. There's not enough properties for rent. So I'm kind of wondering, how long that's going to be. So how long can rental prices keep going up and rental returns? So rental good returns compared to Melbourne and Sydney. Adelaide is steamrolling at the moment with 5, 6, 7% return on some suburbs. And, how is that going to continue? How long for? Are those yields going to rise? And we've got no purchases. So it's a little bit strange compared to money in the bank's not earning you anything. And in fact, it's probably costing you money to leave it there. So one day I think that's going to turn pretty quickly, and hopefully by Christmas, because Christmas is that busy time of the year for people relocating. So and is it a good time to sell? So I'd probably say yes, and I think we know what the market is doing now, and we're pretty well sure that spring is the stock levels are going to be low. So, and the buyers are out. The buyers are out now. The buyers are they're ready to buy. So they haven't found what they're looking for a few months now. COVID has really spooked probably the sellers more than the buyers. So during COVID, what we're finding is that we were doing a virtual walkthrough tour. They'd have a look and they'd ring you up and say, Brett, I want to have a look. We'd show 2 or 3 people and get a contract done. So a little bit different process, and they're used to that now. So the buyers are really used to looking at photos, taking a bit of time, calling us to ask questions about the property, and rather than just doing a price check. So and we all expected JobKeeper to finish at September. Well, that's it's modified a little bit, but it's kind of going into New Year. So I think February, March. So will that have an effect? I don't know. So I'd like to think that Adelaide it may not, but we'll wait and see. But so you kind of know what the market's doing now. So if you're thinking about selling this year, now's probably a good time to have a bit of a chat to us. Get your houses ready, get any painting done, etc. And we can kind of get things ready and then launch it probably September, October. And during that period, also find you something to buy too. And I'll ring other agents and say, I've got to buy for something in Kensington. It's got to be a 2-bedroom unit, etc. So I'll do that for you as well. So to help you shift. So the market's still quite good. Everywhere, everybody's a bit nervous, but as I said, I think it's more sellers nervous than buyers. Buyers are really ready to purchase, and they're used to virtual opens and looking at 3D tours and doing a FaceTime with an agent to walk through a property first, and also the online auction process. So we've been doing those for over 12 months now, and people are used to that process and actually prefer it. So they'd rather not be with a whole heap of people standing on the front lawn or inside a property to do an auction, and they feel safe sitting at home on an app bidding. So and also having a one-on-one appointment with an agent, and they know who's there or who's not there, obviously an agent's not going to show a house where people are in isolation, all that sort of thing. So people are quite used to that. It's the sellers at the moment that are not used to that way of selling. I might also add that our Facebook advertising, has really taken off. And I think everybody in the office, I think 2 weeks ago, we did a series of 4 properties, and we got 100 buyer inquiries, and not just a click. It's like a name, phone number, email address. So we've got them all on our database, and we keep building those social media buyers, which is growing all the time. And the videos that we're posting up the viewings are higher than, and sometimes we get more inquiries from there than realestate.com and Domain, which is good because we actually get their contact details to have a bit of a chat to them. So So yeah, good time. And I think market is still kind of where it is from before. And I think I might be reporting next month that pricing's about the same. And then probably October, I'll say, look, September is gangbusters. So, but we'll see what happens. So, but all I can say is that the market's quite good. The buyers are out there. Buyers are probably waiting for next month to have a whole heap of listings come on board, and we're probably not going to see them. So if you want to chat about selling or put a personal message somewhere down the bottom there, my email is brett@munroproperty.com.au. Phone number's 0421 323 699. If you want to just text me a few questions before you have a chat and call me, no problem at all. So take care, everybody, and stay safe and happy selling. If you're selling, if you're a buyer, just wait. So hopefully we've got some stock for you to come on board. Thank you. Ta.